Welcome back. The stakes are high in this election, and tonight we will hear the Democrats talking about working together. We're joined right now by Gene Sperling. He has worked as an economic advisor to both Presidents Clinton and Obama. Gene, good to see you again. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Maria.
So this theme of working together, what does that mean as it relates to this convention? Where is the focus in terms of working together? How do you see that? Is it jobs in the economy or unity?
I think it is about the unity of having an economic strategy that is about getting things done for jobs and the economy. And I think what you see in Hillary Clinton, and I think what you saw from President Clinton last night in describing her, is that being a progressive to get things done with her does not mean that she's just practical for the sake of practical. It's about a concern for real people. It's about a fact that if you wait too long for children, you lose their childhoods. People need help now. And I think what you're going to see here is that she's going to be putting forward a very positive, optimistic plan, but one that does recognize the degree of inequality and anger in the country over what a lot of people think is an increasingly unfair economic system.
Look, I think both parties want to grow the economy. They want to help children. There's no doubt about it. But it's the approach that's very different. Bigger government versus smaller government. Now, Hillary Clinton has talked about building on President Obama's policies. She's talked about raising taxes on the highest earners. She's talked about raising the minimum wages. She's talked about building on regulation. How do those things create jobs?
Well, I think if you look at a lot of the core things that you'll talk about tomorrow, I think what you'll find is that they're very good at unifying progressives, but they're also going to appeal to a lot of independent and I think moderate Republicans as well. Infrastructure, the idea that we should be creating millions of jobs now, literally laying the foundation, increasing productivity for our country. That is something you see business leaders and labor leaders supporting, but she's willing to do it now, and it would tighten the labor market, I believe, and it would lead to greater wage gains. Higher education, that's really not a Democrat or Republican issue. The debt that students are stuck with, the strain on families, the degree that we need a greater upward path of skills and credentials for all sorts of people, not just those four-year degrees, and even the minimum wage. The minimum wage has always been very popular with independent voters. So I think you're going to see her talking about a lot of practical things that are going to hit home, and I think it's going to contrast to the Republican convention where people saw anger, division, one person, Donald Trump, talking about himself, and what you're going to hear her talking about is how the country works together to solve problems and why you have a practical economic plan and strategy to help raising wages, deal with economic inequality, and make people feel that the system and the American dream is still real and alive today.
Are you surprised wages haven't moved in so long?
It's disappointing.
Yeah.
If you look since President Clinton's last year, income is for families probably down $4,000. Now, it has moved up the last couple of years as the recovery's gotten stronger, but not enough to make up for that drought between 2000.
Why, Gene?
Well, I think there's some big issues, but I think the question is, what could we do?
Yeah.
I think we do need to try to tighten, have more demand in the economy. Now, you don't want to do that with things that are wasteful, but if you have deferred maintenance, if you have infrastructure, a need for broadband in rural communities, these are things you need to do anyways in your country to strengthen our long-term productivity, our long-term foundation. If you can do those things for the future, but create jobs now, and in doing that, help get people back to work, back in the labor market, put a little bit more wage pressure. I'm not one that is worried that we're about to have too tight labor markets.
Right, sure.
I think Americans would be okay with getting some raises and seeing their income go up, and I think that will give them more confidence to invest, more confidence to spend a little more, to start seeing home ownership start to rise again. I think there's a lot of areas for economic growth.
But it won't give confidence to small business in terms of investing, right? I mean, if they see their costs go up, a lot of people we speak with, managers of businesses, CEOs of small businesses, will say, hey, minimum wage goes to $15, I've got to cut jobs. I may go bankrupt. I've got to start pulling in the investment.
Well, I think small businesses are going to see a lot of things that they like in her agenda. I think they do care about a lot of the investments that she would make, and I do believe that Hillary Clinton is very focused on that and understands you have to have an economy that works for small business and entrepreneurs. She said she wants to be a small business president. the American public wants people to create jobs that stay here. Small businesses create that innovation, those jobs. I think you're going to see her try to have our tax code be one that rewards job creation in the United States.
Yep.
And I think manufacturers and small businesses and entrepreneurs and innovators are going to be the beneficiaries of that focus.
Gene, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Maria.
We appreciate your time tonight.
Thanks.
Gene Sperling there.